Welcome, oops, I've done it. Welcome, low ego action heroes in all areas of technology products and services. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and welcome to our live stream that we try to do every Tuesday. Q&A, AMA. I'm here live to answer any questions you might have. You can ask them in the chat. I am watching the YouTube chat, the LinkedIn chat, and the Twitch chat. Or you can send them anonymously, or if you have a long question, through the link you'll find at deltacx.com/links. Now, we got a question in ahead of time, which you can do. You can send them in ahead of time, and then you'll be among the first to get your answer. So, this one came from one of our mid level Patreons. Thank you so much for being a Patreon at the CXCC Patreon. And this was kind of a multi part question, so I'll read it out and then we'll address it. I'm figuring out if I want to pursue service design instead of UX, and I'm wondering about the state of service design because of how UX looks at the moment. Are differences in the US and Europe, for example? I live in Germany. Also, how to do your portfolio, differences to generating case studies in comparison to UX, getting into service design tips and tricks. Okay, so this is a great question. It's unfortunately not my specialty. So, one area that I would probably send you to is in our YouTube CX-CC. We recently did, as part of the My Job series, an interview with Thomas Wilson about service design and what it is and getting into it. So I would say check that out. Let me find the episode number for you so that it's even easier to find. Let's see. Who remembers the episode number? Emojis up if you remember it. Okay, 218. So you can easily go to YouTube and just put CX-CC 218, and that episode should come right up. So make sure you check that out. As for are there differences in the portfolio, I would say that a service design story is probably a longer story. Hi, Ana Lucia. It's probably a longer story than some UX work where you might say, here's my research project or here's my design project. Very often, service design might have some research, some design, strategy work, stakeholder management is usually quite key, bringing together different disciplines and parts of the company to make sure that we've correctly mapped a particular journey or task, and getting people's feedback on things like that, going from the current state to the desired state. Sometimes there's change management in there. How did you make some change happen? Who did that involve? What did you do? What could you have done differently looking back on it? So I would probably say that from a portfolio standpoint, it's easy for a service design project to be a longer project with a lot more strategy and bringing different parts of the company together than you might see in a typical UX research or UX design portfolio projects. So how do I feel about moving into service research or some design or some of the elements that many of us want to do? In some cases, people are slapping a product manager title on that, and my feeling is apply for the job that you qualify for. Apply for the job you nearly qualify for. Apply for the job you're overqualified for. I usually recommend against applying for a job you're very underqualified for, just because there are going to be qualified people who are a better fit, and if you are just one of the 2 zillion applications, you could be blocking them. And if you are really that, yeah, it is blippy. I'm so sorry, Ana Lucia. Thanks for noticing. Well, we'll go with it. Hopefully, the sound is good, even if the video isn't great. I think my system usually trades sound for video, so hopefully the sound is going okay. Um, anyway, I think service design is a good area to get into if you have that multidisciplinary background and multidisciplinary abilities. So definitely watch that episode 218 with Thomas and see what you think about that. Don't forget, if anyone has a question, you can send it into the chat, or you can send it in anonymously at deltacx.com/links. Anonymous can be important because, as you can see, your stuff comes up with your name on it, and you may or may not want that. Sorry that some of the video might be blippy today, but hopefully the audio is still sounding good. Let's put up the next question that came in ahead of time. And this one came in just about an hour ago. So this is question number 2 today. And it says, I recently went through multiple rounds of interviews with a consultancy hiring a UX designer. At the end, they said they liked me, but don't have new clients to put me with, so they'll stay in touch. The way I see it, they were just updating their CV database. Any tips on how to screen for these situations as an applicant? I guess my first question is, what's so bad about what happened here? Obviously, it didn't have the desired outcome of, wow, we love you and we've got work for you right now. But it sounds like you had the second best outcome of, hey, we really like you a lot. We just don't have a project for you right now. And that's really common right now across agencies and consultancies. The layoffs have not only affected companies who have laid off all kinds of tech workers and especially UX, but in many cases, companies aren't hiring outside agencies, consultancies, freelancers. And we talked about this a bit in another episode. Let me find that, and you can always watch that if you are curious. Let's see if I can find that one. Where's my Section 174 webinar? Let's see. It's got to be here somewhere. Does anybody remember? That's normal, but I can understand interviewing while not having an actual vacancy is quite annoying. You go there with hope and then they crush it. Yeah, and personally, as an agency and a consultancy, I also talk to you. The interviewing is the ultimate networking. We talk so much about how, oh, we should do more networking. Oh, maybe I should post to LinkedIn more. LinkedIn is a flaming pile of garbage, and sometimes I wonder why I'm even there. To me, the ultimate networking is interviewing, because there you are putting yourself in front of someone else who is considering hiring you now or in the future, and you're letting them know how great you are, what you can do, what your strengths are, where they might want to work with you. And if you make a good impression and you show good work, hopefully that person thinks of you down the road. I've had that happen. Not recently, of course, because of all the layoffs, but in the past I had that happen where somebody contacted me later and said, "Hey, our agency just didn't have anything for you at the time, but here we are, 6, 7, 8 months later, and we're thinking about you." And my feeling is always, I want companies to think about me. I want companies to be like, oh, wow, we should really work with Debbie. She seems smart, talented, experienced, make a list. So I want to leave that good impression. And if it doesn't work out, if it doesn't turn into immediate work, how much time did you spend in that interview? If you had a couple of rounds of interviews, maybe you spent a few hours. I hope they didn't bother giving you some sort of design challenge, because that seems a little unfair to make you do work and not have a job ready. But I don't give people design challenges, so I'm still against them. But I think, how can you screen for that? If it's an agency or a consultancy, you can always say, do you have work in the pipeline that might be a match to me? And if they say, we really don't have much in the pipeline right now, or we're not sure yet, we have some potential clients, we're hoping they'll sign. Agencies are sometimes very vague about how successful or unsuccessful they are right now in attracting business, because that could be something very nervous for them to say out loud. A lot of agencies don't want to say out loud, oops, we don't have a lot of business right now. And I've had these interviews. I had these interviews as recently as a year ago where an agency said, we don't have any work for you right now, but we know of you. We think you're interesting. We know you're looking for work, and we want to meet you anyway. And I met them, and it was nice to talk to them. And they still haven't had any work for me, which is okay. I have a job right now, but still, I would take side work if they had it. I wouldn't leave my job right now. I like it too much. But I haven't heard from them. So that's what's going on right now. So I would say, think of it as networking. Don't don't count these people out. Don't avoid the interview. Maybe check before you do a design challenge, since those can be annoying, but I would rather leave a good impression. And I would rather be in their CV database or their Rolodex, as we used to say many years ago, than to be someone they're not thinking about and they've never met, and then they're going to put someone else in that database and call them when work comes up. I hope my internet's a little more stable now. Looks okay. Um, yeah, so again, it would be better if they were upfront with you and honest, but not all of them are, and we can understand why. We could say hashtag empathy, even though I don't have my. There we go. Okay, look, we have empathy for hiring managers who don't want to admit that their agency is in a tough spot and they don't have any work for you right now, but they're hoping that they will. They want to think of you. So why not? While I wait for some more questions to come in, let's take a moment and thank our amazing, amazing Patreon crowd. So we've got over 200 people in our Patreon right now. Over 70 of them are paid. So thank you so much to all the people who are supporting my work and my content with your kind donations. The paid Patreon starts at $1 American per month. So it is a small amount of money that you can use to show your appreciation for my content. Or if that doesn't work for you right now for any reason at all, we have a free tier on Patreon, and you are still going to be among the first to see things, know things, and get discounts for things. So please, please join the Patreon. Why a Patreon? Because I am trying to remove algorithms. If I post something on LinkedIn, you might never see it. If I put something on YouTube, you might never see it. So I want to use the Patreon to make sure everybody sees the things. So many people come to me later and go, Deb, I didn't know you were holding a workshop. I would have signed up for it. Yeah, algorithm. Yeah, by the way, I'm holding a workshop April 12th. Check it out. It's on cxcc.to/events. That's our events calendar. Just zoom on over to April 12th. Check out our space workshop, strategizing products and customer experiences, and sign on up. Ana Lucia says it does depend on the agency. For example, I refuse to interview with a few consultancies here in Portugal that are borderline abusive or toxic and so bad it's a meme here. Absolutely. There are consultancies that I worked at for about 3 seconds and would never go back to, so I would not interview with them. There are consultancies and agencies that have a bad reputation for how they treat researchers, designers, UX, CX, whatever it might be. And yeah, you are welcome to not interview with anybody you don't want to interview with because of your own experiences or experiences you've heard about from someone else or something someone said in the online Delta CX communities or whatever. You do not have to interview for every possible thing that comes up. I just, like the previous question, I wouldn't count an agency out just because they don't have something for me right now. Because I have had agencies call me later, and I want to be the person they call later. Don't you? Unless it's these wacky agencies like Ana Lucy was just talking about. So I'm going to take a quick check and see if we're really live on LinkedIn and see if people are watching there too. Yes, it looks like we are. So, hey, oh, what? The LinkedIn stream died? Okay, that explains that. So, always another good reason to join on YouTube. I think I'm still live on YouTube since Ana Lucia is writing to me. At least I'll always have Ana Lucia. So, okay, so the LinkedIn stream died. That's why I always say, please join the YouTube universe. If we don't have any questions today, I will certainly wind down early. I just want to make sure that I answer people's questions. I'm here live for you. We're talking about CX, UX, product and service strategy, service design, customer centricity, you name it. You're live on LinkedIn, but in another post altogether. Oh, okay. So chances are the stream died and restarted itself, and I don't even see where that is. So womp womp. Womp, womp, womp. Oh well. Yeah, I don't love the LinkedIn live thing, but There you go. Yeah, and I've got to fix. I've double booked myself. Thank you for checking, by the way, Ana Lucia, because I checked and it looked like the stream had ended. Anyway, I don't want to keep everybody here talking about streams. Boring. But instead, let's talk about some of the live webinars that are coming up. I'm going to open up my calendar tomorrow. This is March 27, 2024. I'm doing a webinar, Who Owns Research? This is based on an article I wrote, and it's a little controversial because some product managers think they own research, some researchers think they own research, some designers think they own research, some marketers think they own research. Who should own research? It's a question we need to talk about. Let's see. And then Friday is our once a month critical thinking stream. You can send your stuff in at deltacx.com/links. Good. Send in your question. We'll wait for it. Send in your stuff for critical thinking. We'll be doing that Friday night on the other channel, which is Delta CX on YouTube. Let's see. Monday is April already. Wow. And our webinar is going to be UX is a bottleneck, is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's based on an article that I wrote. So we'll be talking about how coworkers and teams and leadership often set up UX to be a bottleneck and then are surprised when it is a bottleneck. So we'll be talking more about that. Tuesday will be office hours, ask me anything, of course, just at a different time. Oh, and then new webinar that I need to write. I haven't even written this one yet. Next Wednesday, April 3rd, I have to write this one. We're going to be talking about unpaid challenges for job interviews when the challenge benefits the company. Oh, yes. Ouch, ouch. I'm going to be writing that one this weekend, thanks to some of you who sent in real crappy challenges that you got from interviews. So yes, and Stream Elements says thanks again to our Patreon members, all of you, free tier, junior, mid-level, and senior low ego action heroes. So I'll wait for Ana Lucia's question, but I'm also waiting for your questions as well. You can send them in. I'm checking for them. And I don't see any new questions yet, so we'll wait for Ana Lucia's, and maybe that'll be the last for today. We'll see. Meanwhile, I've double booked my stuff. Okay. So we'll take off Monday the 15th. Okay. All right, that's fixed. So our Section 174 webinar will be April 10. Ana Lucia, are you sending the question through the link? I don't see anything yet, and I do want to wait for you. Oh, here it is. Yay! Okay, hold on. Let's copy and paste this and add it to the, what'll be the YouTube. All right, let's put it up on the screen. All right. Ana Lucia says, after reading Disruptive Research, get the book, everyone, and watching the micro lesson on task analysis, one thing I noticed is that both you and Larry seem to prefer using task analysis instead of customer journeys. Doesn't that get huge? And how do you intertwine all the tasks together? Do you have multiple task analysis or just one? Super questions. Yes, for sure. I tend to prefer task analysis over customer journeys. I also have a video online that I know Ana Lucia has seen, but if you haven't, it is a video I did about customer journey maps and how they're often garbage and how to make them better. So if you're curious about that, go to YouTube and just look up probably Debbie Levitt customer journey map or Delta CX customer journey map. It should come up in one way or the other. So, to me, and again, this is my opinion, people might disagree, but to me, customer journey maps are often too simplified and too high level. And in some cases, the advice that people give is, well, keep your customer journey map just kind of high level, just general steps that people take. And my thought is, well, what's the point of that? We need to know the details of what people are doing so that we can understand the current journey and then strategically create a better journey. I don't need a high level journey that's going to miss some of the details and the moments. We talk in CX and service design, we talk about some of these moments or micro moments or transactions or interactions, that all of these moments matter. So to just try to look at general steps. Like the example I always give is one that I found in a Medium article where they claimed that going through security was like find security, go through security. Like it was extremely high level. So I tend to not love customer journeys. Now, again, a customer journey map is only as good as the research you've done and the template you use. If you've done amazing, fantastic observational and interview research, and you have a super template that has room for a lot of detail and touch points and interactions and moments, then you probably have a service blueprint. And that's fine too. Ultimately, we have to make the right map, artifact, diagram for whatever we're trying to express and whatever is going to best serve the project and our teammates and stakeholders. So to me, it's rarely a customer journey map because too often the customer journey map is garbage in, garbage out, in that we probably didn't do much or any interviews. We went by what we think customers do, or we ran a survey, or we did our best guess. So there's garbage in, garbage out there, and then there's garbage in, garbage out if you don't use a good template. And again, great research, bad template. It'll probably end up okay, but terrible research, great template, still a disaster. So the question is, doesn't that get huge? How do you intertwine all the tasks together? Yes, we have made some pretty huge task analysis documents. We ended up having to try to figure out a way to cut them into pieces and give them to the client in some sort of giant PDF. Or we just gave them access to the board. But we ended up finding that what we thought was a task for one of our clients a few years ago was 4 subtasks. And each task was a full task because there was usually some sort of break in between. People didn't do them right in a row. They did one, and then they needed to make some decisions and do some things, and then they did the second, and then they need to check with people and do some things. So yes, that thing is a huge thing, easily the size of a large television. It's tremendous. It's got a lot of detail, but we still hope that it delivered a lot of great information to our client that they didn't know. And ultimately, that's what it did, especially that client. They said, all we know is some of our clients are B2B and B2C, and honestly, we don't know them that well. We're not too sure what they're doing. So does it get huge? Yes. But you can always see if your task breaks into natural subtasks where it isn't necessarily something people do all at once. Like even if you think about in Larry's book, his example of the person watering the baseball fields, there's subtasks in there. Even though he doesn't necessarily show it in the book that way, there's a subtask. There's different tasks in that. First, this person is going to end up setting the watering schedule, but then there's going to be a time when they're checking the field and going back to the watering schedule. Is that still the same task? I would say that's 2 tasks, maybe 3, but they all go together. They all go together to look at a larger end-to-end journey. When we talk about the end-to-end journey, I don't know if I still have my graphic for this. Yeah, here we go. So when we talk about the end-to-end journey, I like to look at it like this. You've got your trigger. there's some reason that somebody might need to do business with you or log into your system or come to your store or something like that. Then there's orbit, which is maybe if they're at the point in their process where they haven't considered who they're going to do business with, they're orbiting. They're considering different companies, products, services. Then if they choose you, they're in your ecosystem. And then eventually, they're not in your ecosystem, they take some other action. Maybe they have decisions to make with other people, they have a budget to check, they've got to go back and look at some numbers. So there's a lot of different things that can happen in a larger journey, which we talk about in my book. I think right there in chapter 1 or 2, it's pretty early there. So going back to Ana Lucia's question, and please chime in, you're here. Tell me how I'm doing. Tell me if I'm missing anything. Tell me if you want to add a sub question here. So I would say very often we might end up with multiple task analyses where we saw tasks breaking up into subtasks and then we show how they're connected or what makes people go from one to another. But once you understand Larry's technique from the book, then that's available to you. You can make one task analysis or you can make two and say, first people do all of this, then there's kind of a break in the action where they've got to make some decisions with their coworkers. Excuse me. Ah. Mira, please ask a question. I just got one of those dry throat moments. Give me a moment. Ooh. I know what happened to me there. And of course, I cleaned my desk and I don't have any sucking candy. So, oops. I'm fine. Just having a dry throat moment. There's nothing on my desk I would want to put in my mouth to do something about that because I cleaned it up. I'm not going to eat hand cream. That's a bad idea. All right. We're just going to hope that that passes. Sorry about that live show. Ana Lucia, did I answer your question or is there anything missing? Because now my head is somewhere else. And I can't wait to get Mira's question. 1 minute water break. I just had that, I think. This is water with a little, I have these little squirty bottles of flavoring. So this is water with a little berry agua fresca. So yes, I'm always having water, no matter what it looks like. Sometimes they've got flavors. Hashtag not sponsored. Okay, I'm going to move to Mira's question, but Ana Lucia, if you have a follow-up, please let me know, or if there's something I didn't really address. Okay. Let's get Mira's question. I'm just going to copy and paste. Give me a second to clean it up. All right. Mira, thanks for a really interesting question. Let's get this one on the screen. And let's see what's going on. Mira says, I need to do research with a user group who, in previous sessions, I found really hard to get to engage. They are Nepalese and people we hire as hourly workers, so there are cultural differences, language differences, and power dynamics in place. In past sessions, people have refused to even start their microphone and answered via chat instead if they answered at all. Any recommendations how to approach research in such a case, especially the cultural differences and power dynamics that are in play? Yes, that is usually when I say I am the wrong person to do the research. The question is, what are we researching? It's hard to know. It sounds like these are your coworkers. And so you might be used to dealing with them in English. They might be more comfortable typing English than speaking English. Also, I wonder about recruiting. How are you recruiting these people who refuse to engage with you? I would think that in the recruiting process, we would find out who is open to speaking with you or typing with you and who is closed to that. And that way you don't end up in a session where the person is not answering. Um, Number one, if you have a Nepalese researcher on your team, that is the right person to partner with. You're thinking, well, I'm the researcher. I want to do this. Okay, but there are times where we should be the partner or a little bit more behind the scenes when we are not a good culture match to the people who we need to speak with. For example, if we had to interview people in Germany who use whatever system or tool in German, and they may or may not speak English, we should be speaking German to them. That means I'm the wrong researcher. Even if this is my project or my company, I would say, oh, we really need a German speaking researcher here. So I would say also, can you give a little bit? No, I don't prefer an interview that's in live chat, but do we know why it's live chat? Is it because they don't want to talk to you? Is it because they have a bad relationship with you? Is it because they're not comfortable with the language and they would rather have the time to think about their answer and type it out? We found that some people showed up to some sessions we were holding and they wanted to do live chat because they wanted to take what you typed, put it into Google translate it, write something back in their own language, and Google Translate it. um, oh, okay. And then Ana Lucia has a follow up question that we'll get to after that. So, Mira, I would say this is definitely a difficult situation, but I would be trying to accommodate these people as much as possible. They are the people who we need to know about. Oh, you're writing more. Hold on. Let's take a look. Unfortunately, our Nepalese UXer got laid off in 2022. I've considered partnering with one of the PMs who can help translate and train them on it. Yeah, exactly. As much as I don't love PMs trying to do the research, I would say this might end up being an opportunity for a partnership because it's always better when the when people can be interviewed by someone that they feel is like them, whether that like them is from Nepal or something else, but I would definitely partner with someone and see if these interviews were held in a different language or even in English, but with this person. Is that better? Is it that they don't trust you or don't know you? Or are you asking them questions that could make them look bad at their job? So I think I don't know a lot about this, and you can certainly send me a private Discord message if you want to talk more about it, because I know you're in our Discord. Thank you for being a Patreon member. I'll try to help you out a little more there, but I might try to partner with that PM and see if there's a way to do the research together. I don't know, maybe you can both be in the room, and that way, if there's a follow up question, you can ask it. But you're going to have to book more time because if you are doing a translation situation where this person's going to say something to that person and then they're going to turn to you and explain it in English, you just have to make sure that culturally that's going to work for those people. Otherwise, this is one of those cases where you probably need to either watch the video later and get the translation, or you need to be behind the two-way mirror where you're watching this interaction, but you're not in the room. So we just have to recognize that there might be something wrong in air quotes with you being in the room, and we have to see if that could be the problem. Maybe we just start with the PM going to some of these people and saying, "We need to talk to you about blah 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 for blah 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 reason. Um are you open to that? Are you open to that if it happens in your native language? Maybe just find out why, to research your research and see if you can figure out why some of these things are breaking down. But yeah, keep me posted on that. That's an interesting one. Follow-up question from Ana Lucia. So, would you also make a different task analysis for each of the behavioral typologies? For example, you may have B2B and B2C targets or several B2C targets. I can give you an example. I ended up doing a task analysis for one of the behavioral typologies, and I'm now working on the second one that is pretty much a simplified version of the other task analysis. Would you say both are valid? Or maybe should I use the simplified version with subtasks? Thanks, Mira. Good luck. Ana Lucia, hard for me to say without seeing it, but my guess is because a task analysis is drawn as a flow chart, there's a way to have one flow chart accommodate both of these. So I wouldn't necessarily assume that I have to do a separate task analysis for different behavioral typologies or user profiles unless I see that people are really doing vastly different things and it's going to be hard to map these together. But if you find that group A is doing 15 steps and group B, for whatever good or bad reason, is doing 8 steps, I think you can use some flow charting arrows to show that some people are skipping certain steps, or you can map them next to each other and say, this group did this, and then copy paste this group, pull out the things that the other group didn't do. This group didn't do some of these things, but I would want to see in your report, why didn't they do those things? Was it that they were so good at it that they didn't need that step? Was it that they were so bad at it that they didn't know they need that step? I think just the differences in why people did those different things or skipped certain steps or added steps can be incredibly interesting and hopefully actionable in your report. So are they both valid? You tell me. If the research is good, the task analysis is valid. If the research is stinky, that's where task analysis tends to go a bit wrong, or where people didn't really do research and they're just kind of guessing at the task analysis. But if you've done good research, then hypothetically your diagrams are valid, and you might absolutely have two different groups of people who do the same thing, but one does a shorter version and one does a longer version. Then you can decide whether you want to try to map those together and use some arrows to show. So, some people go off and do this subtask and these extra things, and then they come back over here and rejoin the rest of the people. I would have to see it to know which way it's better to go. But ultimately, I would probably choose the mapping that's going to make more sense to my team and to my client. If my client gets maps that they can't make sense of because they're too simple or too complex, then I would probably feel like I haven't done the best job that I could. So I would want to make sure that I'm giving a client a map with a level of complexity that even if at first glance it looks a little over complex, if they read it out and I talk through, like I might give them a video talking through it. First people do this and then they do this and these are their tools. Then people go, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I see what this means now. Ana Lucia says it's pretty much what you're saying. Group A did around 15 steps. Group B did almost 30 steps. Group B shares the same motivations as Group A, but many more that are not a worry for Group A. Yeah, so it may not just be motivation. It might be, why did they put in more or less effort? Sometimes it's not motivation. Peel away the layers of the onion. What is really going on under that? What's the root cause? Are they doing more steps because they want more accuracy, better outcomes? Did someone do less steps because they don't care about accuracy or outcomes, or because they don't understand that doing more steps would help them get better outcomes? Definitely, I think sometimes people go to motivation and they don't go an extra layer deep. Why? Why are people motivated or unmotivated to do more or do less? If you learn that, that to me is usually the secret magic sauce. Do I have a good graphic for secret magic sauce? I don't think so. we'll give it a hooray. Secret magic sauce. So yeah, I would have to see it to know. But you can, another thing you can do is you could make the two maps next to each other, and you could use some emojis, like especially if you're using something like Miro, where you can add emojis to things. You could add emojis first, like say a star. And a star on this map and a star on this map shows this is a step that both groups did. But if a sticky doesn't have a star, like a green user step sticky, if it doesn't have a star, this is a step that only this group did. So you could also help your clients or teammates understand what you're saying here by adding stuff to it. I'm not against that. We did that a few years ago. Something Ralitza came up with that was really cool. It didn't end up in the book, but what she did was when we made that giant task analysis with the 4 subtasks, she put a yellow triangle with an exclamation point in it for anywhere where she saw the possibility where someone might just go, forget it. This task is over. I'm over this. I'm done. Like an exit point. And she mapped that out. And I thought that was an interesting thing because it really reminded the client of moments. And this gets a little bit more into service design, but moments where you can really break that relationship or the momentum that your customer, potential customer had. Ana Lucia says they want to be more efficient, save money, and not give up their favorite products. They don't mind going to several places and check where things are cheaper. Group A doesn't want to forget anything. And they also want to be efficient, but they don't care as much about saving money. They want to go there, buy what they need, and leave. Okay, so it sounds like Group A are maybe pickier shoppers. They're more value conscious. They don't mind going to 3 supermarkets if they're going to get the best deals at each supermarket. And maybe Group B says, my time is worth something. I don't want to go to 3 supermarkets when I can go to 1. Or I don't want to go to 3 supermarkets when I can go to 2, or whatever this is. You said favorite products. I'm guessing it could be food. So yeah, you've got the motivation is I don't care as much about saving money. I want to be efficient, but my time has value. My time has value, which means I don't want to go to the 3rd supermarket, even if I might save 10 euros because it took me time to get to that supermarket. Maybe it took gas or bus fare, whatever. So I think you could definitely map these out, and maybe there's a way to map the 2 things and compare them to the different sets of behaviors, and maybe use an emoji or something to show this is where these people do the same thing, and this is where they do something different. I wouldn't change the color coding from Larry's thing. Plus, the more you get into colors, the more you get into it's not colorblind friendly. Whereas if you add a star, even people who might have color blindness will certainly see the star, and that will jump out at them as maybe the star is a step the other people didn't do. Maybe the star is the step they both have in common. You decide how you're going to make this your own, and even Larry will tell you this is just a starting point. Make this your own. I think you can make this your own with these types of ideas. What do you think? And you can always show it to me and Larry. Sometimes people send us their task analyses and we give some sneaky secret mentoring. Great questions today. Wow, I was so worried that we'd have nothing to talk about when I was blippy and weird, but wow, we got some really interesting questions today. So thanks to Mira and Ana Lucia for those super cool questions. If you have any other questions or follow-up questions, we do have about 8 minutes left together, so we can do that. If you send in a question after the show ends, I will put it in the next show. So you can always send in questions 24 hours a day through deltacx.com/links, or if you are mid-level or higher Patreon, in our Discord, we have a special channel called Q for AMA, and you can get your questions there, and I will add them. Ana Lucia says, thank you. I'm going to complete the map and mark the shared tasks. Yeah, see how it looks. Mark the shared ones, or if it's visually overwhelming, mark the different ones, or however you want to present it. Yes. Groovy. So, if there aren't any other questions, I'm just going to wind down the show a few minutes early with, again, my thanks to everybody who joined in. And of course, our fantastic Patreons at all levels who are actively getting lots of information from me and lots of stuff earlier than everybody else. If you like to be the first to read stuff and know stuff, Patreon is for you. If you are tired of algorithms not showing you stuff, please join the Patreon, even at the free level. All right, I'm going to wind this down and fire flame. Oh, Ana Lucia says, it's been fun doing this. It's just so easy to look at the amount of stickies in the same row and realize, oh, this may need some consideration. Totally agree. It's a great technique for finding and solving problems. And a lot of the stuff, sometimes people ask me before they do task analysis, like, how do you know what to fix? How are you going to know what you can improve? I go, it just jumps out at you. I don't know how else to tell you, but if you have that kind of analytical mind, once you've mapped it, it just jumps out at you. Do you feel that way? Hey, Alex. Honesty and setting expectations are key to establishing trust. If you know the type of chat I'm blocking time for, you will perform better and have a better experience. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm lost. Maybe you're back in time and you're responding to Mira ending up in a chat with the coworkers Mira was going to interview. Um, and again, maybe chat works. I don't know. I think we're I think we're in a time warp. But good to see Alex either way. All right, I'm going to flame us out of here, and I hope to see everybody tomorrow. Remember that the times for my shows might be changing after this week if you do not live in Europe, because our clocks will be changing. So that's why it's always best to check the Discord if you can, because I'm now using Discord timestamps, which will show you event times in your time zone. All right. Tomorrow we'll be talking about who owns research. So thanks again to everybody who joined, and I will catch you soon. Bye. Have a good day.